for something like a box, and now I get something like this. So you get that kind of bright, spanky tone. If I want something that's going to be a little bit, you know, bigger sounding and maybe a little thicker sounding, I have some things like this.
No,
And if I want something really high gain, I also have access to that as well. So when we take a look at all the presets that are going to be in here, we have 40 song-based presets, meaning that we have everything from classic rock, we've got blues, we've got country, we've got 90s metal, we even have some acoustic presets in here that sound really awesome. But then we also have artist-written presets as well. So we have people like Stevic, who you would probably see on stage if you're coming through here every day. We also had Devin Townsend, who was on stage with us today. And then we also have Brendan Small, who's going to be with us on Saturday. And then a whole host of other Line 6 artists that have written tones specifically for the Spider 5. But then we also have a bunch of just really cool amp or effect-based presets as well. So you can, you know, if you don't want to go off of what somebody else has done and you just want to see what the amps sound like, we have those right in the box as well. So we're going to take a look at the panel here. So I'm going to jump over here and kind of point out a few things on the amplifier panel. And to me, when you look at this amp, it's a little bit cleaner design maybe than what we're used to seeing in the past. So when you take a look at this here, I have all my traditional amp controls. So if I want to do something, you know, like for example, I want to change the gain, I could just reach over and grab the knob just like I would for any traditional amp. However, we do have all of our built-in effects available here as well. And you'll notice that we don't have a bunch of knobs dedicated to effects anymore. So I want to show you how to access that. How that's going to work here is over on the left of the controls, you're going to see this, or to the right of the controls, you're going to see this little effects and amp button. So notice right now it's on amp, which means that all the controls are white. But if I want to switch over to the effects, all I do is I hit the effects button, and then you'll notice that everything here is going to be color coded. If you've been playing Line 6 gear for a while, you know that green equals delay, yellow equals overdrives, blue equals modulation, and so on. So you're going to see the color coding right here is going to match everything for that specific effect, as well as if you're using an FPV3 controller, you're going to see it on the floor as well. So, for example, maybe I'm playing something, you know, nice and clean, and I've got that sort of sound. Maybe I want to throw some chorus on. Well, chorus is a modulation, so it's blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this knob, and notice how this blue light comes on here. So what I'm going to do, there I've got a little bit of chorus, and if I want to get more, I can just turn that knob up. So notice you're hearing that stereo chorus pretty strong. So I don't have to know anything about programming effects to just get more or less of a cool sound. If you did want to go in and get a little tweakier, you definitely can do that. And all you have to do there is just hit this edit button here, and that's going to actually get you into the deep dive menu. So you can go in and you can edit however you like. But there's some other really cool features on this face panel that I want to show you. And the big one that I want to point out is this little play pause button here. Because this is a full range amp, a lot of times people will say, well, what's full range good for besides, you know, music playback, which I can do through my USB port. But because it's full range, it actually gives us the ability to put drum sounds in the amp, and they actually sound good. So it's not going to have a situation where it's a drummer, but you can't hear the cymbals, for example. So let me show you how that's going to work. All I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this play pause button, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I actually have 3 different options here. So I have a loop riffer, I also have a metronome, and then I also have a drum sound. So to just give you a quick example of what that drum sound would be, maybe something like this. All I have to do is push play. So if I got some riff ideas in my head and I just want to have a drummer to play along with, maybe my friend's not available, I can do that. We've got about 50 different drum riffs already in here, so there's some really cool stuff you can do with that. If you wanted to maybe just sit and practice like a good student, you want to go through a metronome, practice your rhythm or your scales, all I have to do is push this button, and now I have my metronome icon. So now I can do things like this. But for most of us, when we hear that sound, we know it really means. Another really neat feature about this amp is it actually has a built-in riff demoer. And what that means is you can actually hear all of the presets in this amp without even having a guitar plugged into it. So let me show you how that's going to work. So all I have to do is move over here to that metronome icon. I'm going to press that. Now you'll see a little guitar with a cassette underneath it. So what this is going to do is when I hit the play button, it's just going to have a simple little riff, and then I can scroll through all my presets and maybe find the 3 or 4 presets that I really want to start with. So how that's going to work, I just hit play. Now I start turning. So instead of me having to have a guitar plugged in and go through literally every preset, I could probably find 3 or 4 presets that I want to get started with in just a couple seconds. So it's a really neat feature. When you jump up to the larger amps, meaning the 60 and up, we actually get this cool looper button here. So this is a 60-second looper. You can control it off of the face of the amp, or you can control it from the optional foot switch, and then you can practice riffs. You play a riff and practice soloing over it. So the riff option is going to be a pretty cool thing. Does anybody have any questions on any of the Spider 5 stuff that I've been talking about so far?
Could you demonstrate what you were just talking about?
What's that, the looper?
Yeah, the looper.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So how a looper is going to work, if I just push this, so I actually had to erase that past loop. So if I go into the looper, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to, it's going to be recording. So hold on just a second. I will show you what this. So once I play it, so if I want to do like a little riff. So now I've got that looping, and now I can maybe practice soloing over it, practice another rhythm pattern, whatever I want to do. What's that? Well, it's 60 seconds. Yeah, 60 seconds in length. Up to 60 seconds. Any other questions? Nope. Yes, sir. There is a USB out, yeah, and we're actually going to talk about that in just a second. So give me a few seconds and we'll get to that. No, it's all good. Any other questions? All right. So we're going to go back to the presentation. I want to talk about this term relay ready, because you're going to see a lot of terms, some of the advertisements are going to say, hey, this amp is relay ready. What does that mean? Well, Line 6 has this amazing wireless system called Relay, and it's been a really, really strong seller for us for a long time. It was one of the very first digital wireless. It was created by the people who invented digital wireless. And so Relay's been around for quite a while. This is the latest iteration of it. It's called a Relay G10 transmitter. And then there's a transmitter receiver. What's so cool about Relay is you don't have to know anything about setting up. All you need to do is plug this into the receiver. That acts as the charger. When you want to use it, I unplug it, plug it into my instrument, and then magically, I have wireless. So I don't have to do any setups, any prep work at all. It's just going to work. So that's the whole idea of being relay ready. Now, funny enough, if you look at this amplifier, you're going to notice there's nothing plugged into this jack. So the idea behind what relay ready is not only is it got wireless technology that's going to work easily, it's actually built into the input jack of this amp. So when I plug in my Relay G10 transmitter, right now it's charging. You'll notice it's going to be doing some blinking to show you that it's charging a little bit. So now my entire setup process is I unplug, I pop it into my instrument, and I'm done. That's all you have to do. And so to me, this was so cool because I remember as a little kid, I had my amp and I had my 120-foot cable, and I would just constantly be rolling over it with a chair and it would break. And so to me, it sounds as good as a cable, but yet you don't have to deal with any of the hassles of cables. So it's a pretty cool thing. So one other thing that I always like to point out, because this is something that I'm sure 1 or 2 people in the room have already noticed, like, hey, I see you unplugging and plugging this in, but I'm not hearing that big popping sound. Like even if I have like a high gain sound, notice there's no like weird pop sound. That's because in the G10 there's actually this little plunger, so it will actually mute the audio output unless it's plugged into something. So again, it's a really cool kind of like ear saver feature. Pretty cool stuff. So the other thing I always like to tell people is that Spider 5 is what I like to call, jokingly refer to as acoustic ready. So what I mean by that is the fact that Spider 5 is a full range amp, right? It's not a traditional guitar amp with only an 8-inch or only a 12-inch speaker in it. It has the tweeters built into it. So I just wanted to just give you a real quick example of how what does this actually sound like. So I'm going to plug in this little adapter here, and then I'm going to plug this in. That sounds like a pretty good acoustic guitar amp to me. So to me, this is the first Spider that you can realistically not only use for all your electric guitar stuff, but you can actually use it for all of your acoustic guitar playing as well. So again, it's going to give you a lot more versatility, as far as your gigs go. One other thing that I always like to kind of goof on, because I'm kind of not smart sometimes. When I found out that this was going to be called 240HC, I had to just ask the products people, like, what does the HC stand for? And they're like, well, it stands for head combo. I was like, oh, that makes sense, because not only is this a head, but it also has speakers built directly into it. Remember we were talking about at the very beginning, we've got two 4-inch speakers and we've got the tweeters. And just to show you how good, in my opinion, this amp sounds, you'll notice if I turn this around, we actually haven't been listening to the 412 at all. The 412 isn't even plugged in. So if I were to just grab the cables here and plug those in, let's find out what happens.
No way.
Yeah, it's going to be just a little louder. So I'm not changing any volumes at all. I'm just going to just go back to that gaining preset that I had before, and I'm not going to I know. I went to ninja school, all right? I was trained by Stevic. He's the 12-foot ninja. I'm just like the roughly 6-foot ninja. But now, check this out. I haven't touched anything on the front of the amp, so nothing's changed there, but just brace yourself. Yeah, I saw you jump.
Holy cow.
I told you to brace. You didn't do it, and look at what happened. But it's pretty loud, isn't it? So this amp can be definitely the half stack on stage for when you need the big, big metal sound or the big heavy rock sound. But what's cool is, rehearsal's over, the gig's over, you want to take this amp home, all you have to do is unplug it. Now it's your, if I do this, I just take the plugs out, and now I take it home, and now it's my cool little practice amp for recording or for home use. So it's a really, really cool feature that we threw in there. So I'm going to plug that in there and let that charge until the next time we need to assault some poor unsuspecting viewers here. So gentlemen asked before, what about USB port? Does it have USB? It absolutely does. And when you take a look at the USB port, we actually have both USB A and B here. So if you want to go direct out to a computer for recording, you can use this jack. All you need to do is move the selector over here. If you want to control it from your iPhone or your iPad through the free Spider remote app, you can do that. You just need to slide the slider over. So Android and PC over here, iPad or the iOS devices over here, super simple. And just so you can see what the remote app is, I'm going to actually just give you, so we're going to switch over to my iPad real quick. And so you can see what the remote app's going to look like on the screen here. It's nice and big. So I'm actually looking at the preset that I was doing here. So if I wanted to edit this in any way, maybe I want to maybe add some delay, all I have to do is just press on the delay, and I could change the tempo, just by how I'm tapping there. I could add my, change my mix or my note values. It's super simple. I mean, just like most of what we're used to on any sort of device like this, you just slide where you want it to go, hit save. If I wanted to send that to the amp, I can hit that little icon right there. I can save it to my tones, meaning my personal account. I can save it right to this amp, so I could do some cool editing stuff at home and dump it on the amp and take it to the show. And then I can even share this with other Line 6 users. So anybody who's using a Spider 5, doesn't have to be this specific one, any Spider 5, these are going to be totally interchangeable. And this is actually taken directly from Amplify and Firehawk presets. So there's already thousands and thousands of presets available. So you can just grab a cool preset, maybe the 4 or 5 that you're starting with, and go from there. So some pretty cool options there. So let's go back and meet the family and kind of just see what's actually happening with these. So Matt, we're going to go back. There we go. So what's common? What are the common elements with all of these products? Well, we talked about the different designs. We talked about the kind of the cool modern design with the color changing buttons. We've got upgraded amps up to 200. We've got 128 presets. We've got the bi-amping. To me, that's a really big deal because now we can do not just electric guitar, but also acoustic guitar. I've got the USB output, I've got the built-in looper, and then I also have the relay ready from the 60s up through the 240s. So just so you can kind of see what the individual features are, Spider 30, mainly for practice and for jamming, because it's only 30 watts, it's an 8-inch speaker, but it's really good for home use. If I jump up to the 60, you're going to notice here that something happened with the picture there. But if I jump up with the 60, to me that's more like a practicing or like really like casual jamming with friends. You're going to see all the same features, but this is where you get relay ready as well as the built-in looper. So I do, knowing what I know and having played all of them, if you're working for your first amp, go with this one, because all you have to do is get this little guy for an extra $100 and you just have like a cool, really cool like system all ready to go. Taking a look, jump up to the 120, what you're going to see, this is to me something you could actually probably gig, small gigs with. Double the power with the 12-watt speaker. It's the same feature set that we saw before, but what's cool on this is we actually get XLRs on the back. So you'll notice, like on the back of the head, we have this as well. So if you take a look here, not only do I have my speaker jack outputs, but I actually have the XLR out as well. And it is stereo, so if you want to do stereo effects, even if you have a mono amp, you could have stereo effects if you're running through the PA. Jumping up to the 240, really it's the 120 times 2. You know, it's the same effects, it's all the same feature set, but you get two 212-inch speakers, and you also get, now the effects will be stereo on the amp itself. And the 240 HC we've talked about quite a bit. To me, that this is so cool for being able to go from rehearsal, and stage back home with just one head. So that's going to wrap it for the Spider 5 demo. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out. Make sure you stick around for Paul Heinmarsh, who's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. And if you have any Spider 5 questions, just jump right back there and then talk to who's ever at the booth. They'll be able to help you out.